Thank you for downloading this podcast from the British Theatre Guide. For more information about British Theatre Guide, please visit britishtheatreguide.info.
Hey up me duck, it's Steve Orme here, the Midlands Editor of the British Theatre Guide. The big show this autumn at Derby Theatre is a new play called Welfare. It's the story of the Derbyshire Miners Holiday Camp in Skegness, and the actors have been getting used to the Derbyshire dialect that is integral to the show. In a moment you'll be hearing from three of the performers, John Holt-Roberts, Joe Mousley and Hanna. But first, Derby Theatre's artistic director Sarah Brigham, who directs Welfare, explains what it's all about.
It's written by Abi Zakarian, who's from Derby originally. And basically, the Derbyshire Miners Holiday Camp was this amazing place. It started as a convalescent home for miners to go when they were sick. And then it wasn't a real act of welfare where they gave working men for the first time a paid holiday funded by the coal board, a paid holiday to go away with their family. And if you think about now, I mean, many actors, but also people on 0 hours contracts, people who work at Amazon, whatever, they don't get paid holiday. They don't get not only paid holiday, but sent away for a week with their families, all paid for and supported and all of these things. So it just feels like this amazing place. And then when I started doing some research into it, it just has the most amazing history. So yes, it was a holiday camp, but in 1956, it was a place that opened its doors for Hungarian refugees. In 53, they housed people who were affected by the North Sea floods. It was an army training ground during the war. You know, it's been a place of welfare in its broadest sense. And I mean welfare in the sense of a positive word, all the way through its history. And as I talked to people locally who had been there, I just started to go, this is going to be great material for a play because it's just got everything and it's a place of entertainment. So I could just kind of imagine immediately what that might be.
Here's a scene from the play involving a family who've just arrived at the holiday camp.
Oh, he's finally gone off. Told you the sun would settle him.
Sit yourself down, Mama Patty.
I'll not stay long, you know I don't suit the sun.
Get some ombre solaire on you and relax, Mother.
I am relaxed.
Give over, are you? Stretch out. Get some sun on your skin. Oh, it does you the world of good, this.
Leave your mum be, Jer.
Looks like a sausage been left too long on the pan. Not you, love, you've got lovely skin. Is that a new bathing suit? Oh, I remember when I had a figure like yours. Of course, I didn't snap back after this one. It was like pushing an out to £10 turkey at Christmas time.
Oi! I'm keeping trim, thank you very much.
Sausage on the pan too long. I swear, just when I think I've learned this language, you gift me with another beautiful phrase.
Oh, aye. Let's get more ammunition. Yeah, thanks, Mum.
Well, it's true. Look at you. I can see your Grandad Headley's legs on you. Irish lily white, you are just like him.
I'm getting a tan.
At least it's better than the soot you come home covered in every day.
Researching the play proved to be a big undertaking, as Sarah Brigham points out.
We took 12 ex-miners and their families on a bus tour to Skegness. So we all got on a bus, travelled to Skegness, went round the old camp and chatted about that. So all of their stories are in there. We then sent postcards out for people to fill in. Do you have any memories? And they all came flooding into the theatre. And then what's been really joyous is they were the kind of two big things we did. But from that, I'm forever even now getting emails going, oh, how are you doing about Derbyshire Miners Holiday Camp? Let me tell you this story. Let me tell you this story. So it's just been really joyous. And only yesterday we had two brothers, John and Robin, who they'd been camp kids in 61, 62. So they were from Mansfield and they'd lived there because their parents worked there and they'd been thrown up on the stage singing. So we've had, a real lot of people. It's been really joyous.
The play starts in 1928.
That's right.
And goes right through to the present. So was it difficult to differentiate between all the different ages?
Yeah, absolutely, especially with only 10 professional actors, because we have to create every era and every world. And the story tells the generations through that. So, you're in 28 and you've got a bit of Charleston going on. You hit the 70s and you've got a bit of the hustle going on. So we do it through music and through dance, through very brilliant costumes, through props, so as I'm looking around the rehearsal room now, there's an old radio in the background and there's a miner's helmet in one corner. So that, we're adding to the world. But I guess really we're doing that through the actors, and we've got a really brilliant cast. So it's been very easy and very enjoyable.
And it's not just professional actors on the stage.
No, so we've got 10 professional actors who are brilliant and act, sing, dance, play musical instruments. They're very busy and they go through the eras and they have to play from age 21 up to 66 and all of this. But we've also got our community cast of 21. So there's 21 community cast who are just local people who have come from the local area, who are on stage, some of them for the very first time. And we're working with Derwent Brass. So Derwent Brass, who are a championship brass band, absolutely fantastic. We've worked with them in Brastoff. They're on as well. So there's some real rousing numbers, and there's big stage pictures to create as well.
Would you say that welfare is similar in some ways to Brastoff then?
It is and it isn't. I think the thing about this is, I'd almost say that Brastoff is the gateway drug to welfare. So Brastoff's, it's a film. We know the story. There's lots going on. This is a piece of new writing. So there's something slightly different that we're trying to do with this. It's got lots of the similar elements. We do tell the story of the strikes in it as well. But it's a piece of new writing as well. So it's, we're dramatically and theatrically doing something a little bit different.
How long's the rehearsal process?
So we've been rehearsing for 4 weeks, and then we'll go into the theatre and we'll have our technical rehearsals where we put the lights and the sound on for a week, and then we're open.
And you've actually got fish and chips in the auditorium as well?
We have. So we've got experience seats. And so we've taken out the first 2 rows of the auditorium and we've built the stage out into the auditorium, and then people will be on the stage at kind of cabaret tables, and you can buy your fish and chips beforehand. You can also go and buy your ice cream up on stage from the ice cream vendor. And so we're trying to make the whole theatre an entire experience. So
some people might think it's just a history lesson, but it sounds as though it's got a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it's a cracking night out. So there is songs from every era. There's loads of going on. But I think it tells the story of a family. So it talks about, history on a global sense, the things that happened through those years. But actually also tells the story of just a family going on holiday through the eras. And it's something that we've all done. We all connect to, and sometimes we get on, sometimes we don't. And sometimes it's joyous, and sometimes I'm ready to get back to work. So I think it tells all of those things. So I think there's a bit of something for everyone, and people fall in love in the show. People have babies, mothers and sons argue, they get on, so I think it's something you can relate to, definitely.
John, you're playing Jack. Tell me a bit about the character.
Well, Jack is, he's the son of a mining family. He starts to play in his sort of mid-teenage years, and he goes up into his mid-40s, really. So he's telling his story from how he kind of first discovers the camp as a lad and gets involved with it, and then eventually over time gets more responsibility and kind of has to deal with a lot of like changing history, from it being one thing, really involved with his family, to sort of taking on more responsibility himself and, becoming a man.
So he goes on a bit of a journey, does he?
Yeah, I think he does. I mean, the play is all told in the holiday camp, but we see it at different years, at different times. And I think with Jack, we see some really important moments in his life. We see how he's connecting with his parents. We see him fall in love, get married, bring his children here. And I think the interesting thing for me is for Jack about the changing attitudes to welfare, to the idea of the holiday camp, and how that affects him, and the fact that he's so close to the camp with his family being involved and all the rest of it. I think that's interesting to see how he deals obviously with the eventual, the miners' strike and the pit closures eventually, and that as well. It's really interesting. It's a challenge.
Did you draw on any particular experience for the role?
Sorry to say, I've not been down the pitch myself as an actor, but I've been a teenager. I can definitely come through for that. He's also got a bit of a thing for song and music, and it's a real way that he connects with his mother throughout the piece. And that's I play instruments myself. I'm a big fan of music, and that for me was a real way into the character. But also he has to balance this kind of sense of fun with this sense of responsibility, which I think, growing up, particularly in the arts, when you've got to kind of look after yourself, dealing with being a kind of self-employed person in an unsure economic environment, I think that's something that he can definitely relate to.
This is a little bit different from the last thing you were in at Derby Theatre, but that was in its own way challenging as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So the last couple of things I've done at Derby have been very much family-friendly shows, very, very high-octane, big characters, lots of kind of actor-musician stuff. And, different challenges. The very last thing I was in for Derby was Robin Hood, and that was a BSL integrated piece working with the deaf cast, which was really, really interesting and a really different challenge to this. And it's just a delight to be able to come back here and just try these different things and the different pieces that connect to the community in all sorts of ways.
What is it about Derby Theatre then that keeps bringing you back?
It's the team, it's the environment that it creates. I strongly believe that theatres should be almost like a social service, a hub for a community. And I think everything that Derby tries to do, particularly with its connection to the university and all the outreach it does and putting on things like welfare, which is made so much for the community, particularly the Derbyshire community. There's going to be things in this play that only people from Derbyshire will recognise. It's a very universal story. It is for everybody, but there's so much of that local culture here in it. Yeah, I believe strongly that that's what a theatre should do.
Joe, you're playing Patty, and like many of the characters in this play, you go on quite a journey.
Quite a journey, yes. I start the play as a 21-year-old in 1928, and, well, we end now, so I don't quite live to see 2024 as Patty. But yeah, it's that's the challenge for me. I've got to play young and go through my 20s and 30s and 40s up to until I'm 60, really, I think, in this play. So yeah, it's quite a leap and a journey, yeah.
Presumably you've played roles like that before, though, when you've had to play all different types of ages.
Yeah, it's very much an ensemble piece in that respect. So, getting that journey through all those years in one night of theatre. I've had experience of that before, but not quite. I think Patty's feels like a voice that you don't normally hear in these sorts of stories, because we meet her at the time, it's 1928, when the Equal Franchise Act came out. So she's kind of this firebrand that comes on and it's like, women get the vote for the first time, which is beautifully linked to the framing of the story, which is Tiana is playing Kat, and she's a local girl, and she's kind of gone back to the now derelict holiday camp to discover all these memories, and it kind of starts with Patty coming in with this news, so it feels a real female-led story.
Have there been any difficulties with the language as far as you're concerned?
The accent? It's a tough one. We've got an amazing accent coach, Anita Gilbert, so it does feel like it's a mixture of lots of things, but I'm just keeping my ears out and kind of practicing. It's the vowels. It's like a bit of Yorkshire, a bit of, Lancashire, but it's very much Derbyshire. It's all about the vowels, I feel like. So I'm having to work hard on that because I want to do it justice, obviously, because it's, a story really about what happened to the Derbyshire miners. So yeah, I want to try and get that right. Oh, no pressure.
And this isn't the first time that you've appeared on the stage at Derby Theatre, is it?
No, this time last year, I was in Brastov, which had a mining theme. So I'm seeing lots of my friends from Derwent Brass again this time, which will be glorious, and reunited with lots of the community cast that some of them were in Brastov. So yeah, it's just an absolute joy to be back.
Hanna, tell me about your character.
So my character is Zsófia, and she comes over to Derby in 1956, which is the year of the Hungarian uprising, when Hungary, of course, is occupied by the Soviets. And in October, there is a kind of a coup that is staged where people from all around the country descend Budapest, and they sort of take back power because they were quite socialist, but they wanted a more liberal type of socialism than what was imposed by the Russian Soviets. And it was crushed 2 weeks later, but in that sort of interim time and a little bit afterwards, about 200,000 Hungarians fled Hungary, and they went first to Austria, and then they were sort of dispersed around the world to many different countries, some to Canada, some to the United Kingdom, all over. And there were quite a few that ended up in Derby because, and this is historical fact, historically accurate, the National Coal Board had made an agreement. So once they had arrived to London, that a certain number of them, if they wanted to settle in the UK with the job, that they could come and work at the mines. So a lot of them were recruited to come and work at the mines. And by December of the year 1956, the entire welfare camp in Skegness was pretty much full because of how many Hungarians had arrived.
It sounds as though you're not from these parts originally.
No, I am not. I'm Hungarian. I grew up in Hungary. My parents actually lived during that time. My dad was born in the Second World War. So, and also, luckily, that's what we learn in history class. So I'm very knowledgeable about the history of Hungary. But I did move here to the UK 10 years ago.
What is it about welfare that appeals to you?
So when I think of this play, Welfare, I think of just a feel-good family piece of theatre. And the reason is, to me, is that, you know, it starts with the journey of this character, Kat. And the reason, the impetus for her going on this journey is this connection to her father, who's ailing at the time the play starts. And it just takes her on this whirlwind journey of family history. And because she is from Derby, of course, you get this whole gorgeous history of social movements, of human beings, of people coming, of people going, of, you know, what life was like in the 1920s, in the 1970s. But you see it through such a personal lens that's, because it's dear to this main character, I feel like that imbues it with a lot of love. So it's not just like, and in the 1920s this happened. It's really human beings that are going through experiences.
And would you describe it as a challenging role?
I think there are certain aspects of it that are challenging. So like, you know, there'll be a scene where she's just flown in from Hungary after the uprising. And of course that's challenging because that's such big emotions, you know, being a refugee in a completely new place, leaving behind everything. But it's like a really interesting role as an actor to get into. And then, you know, going from that to then 10 years later, the moment at the beach, and then another scene where we're sort of tackling racial tensions between communities of working class people. And so it's, because it's such a varied range of different experiences, it's challenging. It's not just one thing, but it's, of course, loads of fun to play. And it's exactly the kind of challenge you want if you're working in theatre.
And is this the first time you've worked in Derby?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. First time I've been to Derby, first time I've worked in Derby.
You enjoying it?
It's a lot different to what I thought it would be. I don't know why, but for some reason I thought it'd be a bigger city, and there's actually loads of countryside around. And because in my head, for some reason, you think coal miner, for some reason I think industrial city, but that's actually all underground. And up top, you've just got like green and, river and lots of stuff to do and go outside and hiking. So yeah, quite different to what I thought it was. And I'm happy to discover.
Welfare will run at Derby Theatre from Saturday the 28th of September until Saturday the 12th of October.
You've been listening to a podcast from British Theatre Guide. For more information, please visit britishtheatreguide.info.